Getting ready to put in the ceiling fan, ceiling light. That means I have to take out the old fan and the old light. The old junction box for the old light was pretty sad shape anyway, so it's good that that's coming out. As is often the case, directly over my head there's a cold air duct. Now, when the electricians put in the wires, they probably didn't have the cold air duct in place. I think the furnace probably came after, because the cold air duct runs right over the top of the wires. So this cold air duct has to come down. I have to remove it, at least a section of it, so that I can get into the wall and run wire up for the new fan and new ceiling light and another hall light. But to make that happen, I need to take down a piece of sheet metal. I've done this before because it seems like the furnace guy and the electrician had a war. And wherever the electrician put his work up, the furnace guy didn't want anybody to see it. On this section here, that's where the wires run for all the lights in the basement. Over here is where the wires go up into the wall in the bathroom. And because the furnace guy didn't want to waste any money on anything, and was certain no one would ever want to take his work down, he nailed all the ductwork in place. That meant that every time anybody needs to do anything to the wiring, they had to pull down this piece of sheet metal. Now, not everybody is as gentle about it as I am, because I know I have to put it back, and it's my house. So I'd kind of like to keep the sheet metal straight. Some of the pieces have had to be hammered back out after needing some work above them, because when I went to put them back up, they were so wrinkled they wouldn't go back in. That was somebody's previous work tearing stuff down. Now, to add insult to injury, they also covered up the plumber's work. Always try and use the least damaging tools possible, but sometimes you just got to go after it with a crowbar. And one of these little flat bars is kind of handy, because you can get into a lot of thin spots with it. Now, it is kind of handy doing this work right over the top of the workbench, because I can just reach over and grab a tool when I need it. But by the same token, the workbench is kind of in the way to get up to some of it. And this workbench is bolted to the wall, so it's not going to come down. Now, when I put up ductwork like this, especially if it's in an area that I know I'm going to be working on, and just on general principles, I put up the screws. Because screws, by their very nature, allow for removal if they're done correctly. Something I strongly recommend when you're working with sheet metal is a pair of gloves. No matter how careful I am, I always end up cutting myself, which is always annoying if nothing else. Yuck. Cold air duct. Nasty piece of work. Probably going to have to run the vacuum down through this before I put it back up because it's ugly. Oh, look at this. Somebody decided they didn't want that wire to be doing anything, so they cut it off. I don't know if it's hot, but it's just been cut with a pair of wire cutters. So I'm assuming it's not. Oh, and right there's burned in two. So somebody smoked that and cut that wire off. So I don't know what it turned power off to, but it definitely turned power off to something. I imagine that was done when they put in this new plastic line for the sink drain. There was a problem with the house. It had copper tubing for the drain lines. Turns out that copper tubing does have one major flaw. It reacts badly to acid. And sewer gases are acidic. So the line that ran from the kitchen sink all the way through the house, clear to the back wall, and on out to the septic system was a big 2-inch copper line running through the house. That 2-inch copper line rusted pinholes in the top of it. Not really rusted, corroded pinholes in the top of the copper line. So copper line is not suggested for drain lines ever again. They all want to go PVC now. When that copper line corroded and the first time the line backed up, it flooded the place. And it flooded the place with, you know, sewage. So something that you don't want to do is run copper drain lines. And if you have copper drain lines, check them. They might have pinholes along the whole top of the line. And if they don't, they soon will. Or in a matter of time. So somebody shorted out this wire and burned that in two. So I'm going to get the tick tracer and see if I got juice on that line. One thing about remodeling, it's just never dull. Whether it's finding razor blades in the wall, well, the tracer works. That says this is dead. That's live. This is dead. Okay, I can go upstairs now and drill a hole down through that because I now know where the wire comes out of the upstairs. It goes that direction. I can drill on this side of the existing hole. We got daylight. That's good. Yep. Nice clean hole. Now I just have to go up to the top of the wall and on into the attic. We got the hole drilled through the footer and through the header. Despite having a bit of a wandering problem with one drill bit, we did manage to get up through it. Got the wires pulled. Got the switch box stuck in the wall. I'm going to swap this out, put in a 4-gang box, and then run one of these wires into the 4-gang box to supply power to the whole rig. Then I'm going to run a line from the 4-gang box over to that switch. That's going to feed power to that new light up there in the hallway so that we won't have this dark hallway anymore. One switch over here on the wall. It's coming. Not exactly as fast as I wanted it to, but it's coming. I'm really getting tired of being dirty. Hopefully this is the last of the big tear outs. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I rate them all. Thanks for watching. And if you guys are just new to the channel, why don't you take a minute and subscribe. You can ring the doorbell too, that way you'll be notified whenever we have a new video come out. We're on a schedule, Monday through Friday at noon, Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.